Good morning, brother and sister. Today we wake up with a new opportunity to live under protection of the Most High. No matter how your night has been or how heavy the challenges of the day may seem, Psalm 121 reminds us that we are not alone, that our help comes from the Lord, the Creator of heaven and earth. Before we begin this prayer, I invite you to write in the comments, "My help comes from the Lord." By doing so, you are declaring your faith and leaving a message of hope for all who come here. Take a moment, take a deep breath, and give this day to God. He is your faithful guardian. Let us pray together. I raise my eyes to the mountains. Where will my help come from? The psalmist begins with a deep question born of need and faith. And you, who do you look at when you feel that you can't go on? Today, we begin our morning remembering that help does not come from human strength, nor from circumstances, but from the one who can do everything. My help comes from Jehovah, who made the heavens and the earth. What a powerful declaration to start the day. We do not trust in luck or fate. We trust in the God who designed the universe. If he formed the heavens with his word, he can also order your day with his peace. Today, walk with that certainty. You are not drifting. You are in the hands of the Creator. He will not allow your foot to slip. The one who takes care of you will not fall asleep. God is not like men who get tired or distracted. He watches over you without rest. This morning, trust in that promise. Even if there is instability around you, the Lord affirms you. Even if others fail, your God does not sleep. He certainly will not fall asleep, nor will the one who keeps Israel sleep. This verse reaffirms what we already know, that our God is always attentive. This is a morning to give him your worries and trust that he is already working, even in what you still cannot see. Jehovah is your keeper. Jehovah is your shadow in your right hand. In every step you take today, remember, you are not alone. He walks by your side, protects you, guides you like a faithful shadow. God remains with you, even in the most common moments. May this truth accompany you as you move forward in your day. The sun will not hurt you during the day, nor the moon at night. This is a powerful image of total protection, day and night at every moment. Today, when you leave home or face your responsibilities, remember that there is no time when God leaves you unprotected. His coverage is constant, even when we do not perceive it. The Lord protects you from all evil. He will keep your life. It is not only about avoiding visible dangers, but about being preserved in your interior, your peace, your faith, your spirit. God keeps your soul when the world tries to steal your hope. This morning, declare, "My life is in the hands of God, and there is no evil that can defeat me." He will keep your way out and your entrance from now on and forever. What a complete promise. From the moment you set foot out of the house until you return and beyond, your walk is under the loving gaze of the Father. Today, while you live the ordinary, wait for the extraordinary, because the eternal God guards every step. Sometimes we forget that this psalm is not just poetry. It is a spiritual declaration of divine coverage and care. Each line is impregnated with active promises. That is why every morning you start with faith will be different. Not because the world changes, but because you walk with the one who reigns over the world. Before you leave the house, before you open social media, before you look at the news, look for the Lord. He is your first refuge, your guide, your truth. Psalm 121 is like a compass to start the day with direction and peace. Today, let the word of God be the strongest voice in your interior. Tomorrow is a blank canvas, and every word you say, every thought you cultivate, is like a line that shapes the day you live. Why not start painting this day with faith? Psalm 121 reminds us that our God does not sleep, that he guards every moment of our lives. What would happen if today you choose to trust his care more than your fears? Even when you do not see the future clearly, you can move forward with a certainty that your steps are being guided. It is not by chance that you hear this prayer today. God wants you to start this day with his presence as a base. The psalmist said, "My help comes from Jehovah, who made the heavens and the earth." That phrase is not a simple religious statement. It is a deep conviction. You have thought about what it means that your help comes from the one who created everything you see. That means that you are not limited to human solutions. Your provision, your comfort, your strength come from an inexhaustible source. Today, when you face decisions or difficulties, remember this truth. Your help does not depend on circumstances, but on the power of God, and that power is available to you this morning. Perhaps yesterday was not easy. Perhaps you slept with tears or woke up with worries. But today is a new beginning, a new opportunity to look up to the mountains and declare, I am not alone. My God is with me. The enemy will try to steal your peace early on, filling your mind with anxiety. But you have a promise. He will not allow your foot to slip. That means that even if you stumble, you will not fall. God holds you. And while you walk, even if you feel insecure, you can be sure that there is an invisible hand guiding you and lifting you if necessary. The one who guards Israel will not fall asleep. This affirmation has a deep power. God does not get tired of you. He does not take pauses when it comes to taking care of you. His vigilance is perfect. Sometimes we feel that our prayers are not heard, but the truth is that there is a God who never takes his gaze away from us. While the world sleeps, he watches over you. While you do your tasks, he is working in your favor. This morning, he delivers your loads, your goals, your dreams. He rests in the certainty that someone much greater than you is in control of everything. Jehovah is your guardian. There is no human name, no position, or position that guarantees absolute security. Only God has the ability to fully guard you, body, soul, and spirit. His shadow covers you. His presence envelopes you. Today, wherever you go, he carries this certainty with you. He is at your right, as a protective shadow, as an invisible shield. You can walk among the crowd, face traffic, work, news, but none of that will be able to touch your peace if you keep your gaze on the guardian of your soul. May this day be lived under that promise. Sometimes when we wake up, our mind is already running faster than our body. We think about everything we have to do, about what we have not yet achieved, about what could go wrong. But the Lord calls us to start in a different way. He offers us calm before the storm, peace before the pressure. That is why this morning, take a break. Stop your thoughts for a moment and let this truth invade you. The Lord is your shadow at your right hand. He is not distant or indifferent. He is as close as your breath. Even when you do not perceive him, he is caring for you with tenderness and power. There are dangers you see and can avoid, but there are also invisible ones, those you do not suspect, that are hidden in words, gestures, or thoughts. And that is where the protective grace of God acts. The Psalm says that the sun will not hurt you during the day or the moon at night. That includes everything that could affect you, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual. Today, trust in that silent but effective protection. God is anticipating what you do not know yet, preparing safe paths and closing doors that could hurt you. That is the kind of love that accompanies you today. We live in a world that demands too much from us. Productivity, speed, immediate answers. But our soul needs something else in the morning. It needs silence, prayer, passion, contact with the Creator. Do not start your day running to the world without first sitting at the feet of the one who sustains the world. Today, take this moment as an act of self-love, but above all as an act of faith. It is not wasted time. It is planted time. Each word of this prayer is like a seed that will bear fruit of peace, wisdom, and direction throughout the day. The Lord will protect you from all evil. What does all evil mean? It does not only mean accidents or diseases. It also means discouragement, the thoughts that paralyze, the fear that steals opportunities. God wants to completely cover you, from the visible to the deepest part of your being. Today, give him what worries you the most. Is it an important decision? A loved one? Your financial situation? Put it in his hands. Because God's protection is not partial. It is integral. He takes care of what you do, what you think, what you feel. And above all, he takes care of who you are. The Lord will save your life. That is the essence of this psalm. He will not only protect your day, but your whole life, from your first steps to your old age, from the moments of joy to the nights of tears. Nothing escapes his loving vigilance. He does not only intervene in emergencies. He walks with you in everyday life, in the simple, in the repetitive. This morning, thank him for that constant care. Because even if you don't always see him acting with visible miracles, his faithfulness is reflected in every little detail of protection that you can only notice when you look back and see that you were never alone. This morning may seem like the others, but it is not. Every day brings with it unique opportunities to grow, to love, to serve. And every day also brings its own challenges. That is why you need more than physical energy to face it. You need spiritual direction. Psalm 121 is not just an old prayer. It is a compass for today. When you say, "My help comes from the Lord," you are not repeating a phrase. You are affirming that you will not walk alone. Today, make decisions from faith, not from fear. Look at your day with the eyes of the one who has already gone before you. Perhaps there are things you have been waiting for a long time, an answer, a help, a change. And sometimes the silence of God seems absent. But remember, the one who takes care of you does not sleep. He is working in areas that you still do not understand. This morning, give your expectations to God and allow His time, and not yours, to mark the rhythm of your steps. Trust that when the time comes, everything will fit. In the meantime, keep walking with faith, as who knows that there is a purpose hidden even in the most silent days. Have you ever felt emotionally unprotected? As if no one understood you, as if your internal battles were invisible to everyone. The good news is that your heavenly guardian not only sees what happens outside, but knows what lives in your soul. Jehovah is your guardian, says the psalm. He guards your thoughts, your emotions, your deepest wounds. This morning, do not hide your pain from God. Present it to Him, because where men only see appearance, He sees the heart, and it is there where His work of restoration begins. The day can bring many voices, news, concerns, criticisms, expectations of others. But let the first voice you hear today be that of your shepherd. That voice that says, "Do not fear, because I am with you." That voice that does not condemn, but guides, comforts, renews. Psalm 121 is like a soft song that calms the internal storm. Let this prayer be a shield for your mind and a refuge for your heart. Today, when the voices of the world want to fill you with confusion, remember that the voice of God is stronger and is speaking right now to your spirit. When the psalmist said that He will guard your way out and your way in, he was affirming something greater than physical protection. He was talking about a constant accompaniment, about a God who is interested in each stage of your day. Your way out represents your challenges, your entry, your rest, and in both, He is present. From the moment you get up until you return home, His presence surrounds you. This morning, before any task, give your day to God. Tell Him, "Guide my steps. Open the right doors and close those that do not come from you." That is a powerful way to start. Starting the day with an anxious heart is more common than it seems. There are so many invisible burdens that we carry. Thoughts of the past, worries about the future, doubts about the present. But this morning, God invites you to look up, not to escape from your responsibilities, but to remember where your hope comes from. The psalmist also asked himself these questions. He also felt weakness, but he discovered that true help does not come from what we see, but from the eternal. And today, you can also make that choice. Start the day with confidence, not with fear. Not all battles of the day are external. Many are free in silence within the soul. Those internal struggles that no one sees, thoughts that exhaust, emotions that overwhelm, words not spoken that way. However, there is a source of renewal that does not fail. The scriptures affirm that God takes care of those who trust in Him, who watch over our lives at all times. Today, before going out into the world, allow your spirit to be embraced by that peace that does not depend on circumstances. Because true rest comes when we recognize that we are not alone for a moment. There is a profound wisdom in stopping when you wake up to pray. It is not about religiosity, but about spiritual strategy. When you connect your soul with the divine from the first moment of the day, everything aligns differently. What used to seem urgent now looks calm. What used to be confusing now becomes clear. Today, from this time of prayer, make your starting point. Let it not be just a routine, but a meeting. Because when you start your day with your eyes set high, even the most uncertain steps become firm under the guidance of the eternal. God's protection does not always manifest as a visible miracle. Many times it is silent, discreet, almost imperceptible. It is that detour you took without knowing why, that conversation that strengthened you, that idea that prevented you from making a mistake. This is how the one who guards your life acts, anticipating, guiding, enveloping every detail. Today, recognize those little signs as part of the divine care. You don't need to see it all to know that you are being guarded. Just trust and be grateful, even for what you may never fully understand. When your heart is full of expectations, it is easy to let anxiety take you. But God does not call you to run after your goals, but to walk with Him towards them. That is the difference between zeal and faith. This morning, don't start looking for results. Start looking for direction. Remember that the one who guides your entrance also supports your exit, and that no matter how long today's day is, there is a constant presence by your side. Breathe deeply. Give your plans to heaven and walk step by step, trusting that everything you need is already being prepared. Not everything will awaken. There is strength. Sometimes we get up with more questions than answers, more tiredness than encouragement, but that does not mean that the day is lost. On the contrary, it is in those moments of fragility where the grace of God is better revealed. He does not demand perfection to be with you. He approaches those who invoke Him with a sincere heart. Today, even if you feel weak or insecure, do not be afraid to start. Put your trust in the care that does not rest, in the love that does not stop. Because even if you have doubts, God has certainties about you. Many times we take for granted the small miracles of day to day, the air we breathe, the opportunity to start again, the calm after the storm. But when we learn to see life with gratitude, everything changes. Divine protection is not limited to the extraordinary. It is also in the everyday, in what seems insignificant. Today, before leaving your house or starting your tasks, look around you with new eyes. Every detail can be a sample of the love of God taking care of you, in silence but with intention. Not all days are easy, but they can all be sacred if you live them in the presence of God. Sometimes you'll face situations that you cannot control, words that hurt, decisions that weigh, but even there you can walk in peace. Because what determines your stability is not what happens outside, but what lives inside. This morning, decide to start with a deep prayer, with a high thought, with the conviction that you are not alone. Let this be a day lived on purpose, and not just in a hurry. There are thoughts that at dawn already want to take control, worries, insecurities, ideas that generate fear. But you have the authority to choose what kind of thoughts you will feed today. You can repeat the same doubts as always, or you can declare that this morning is different, that you will not walk with the weight of yesterday, but with the hope of what God can do today. Look up, not to what is missing, but to what has already been promised. Sometimes, all you need to change your day is to remember who you believe in. Every step you take today is being observed with love by the one who formed you. You are not one more in the crowd. You do not go unnoticed in heaven. There is a purpose in your life that is still valid, even if you have failed, even if you have doubted, even if you do not see immediate results. This morning is an opportunity to reconnect with that truth. May your decisions today be guided not by external pressure, but by the inner conviction that you are being accompanied by a faithful presence. Move forward calmly, but firmly. Everything else will be accommodated. Starting the day with faith does not mean ignoring the problems, but facing them from another place, from the inner peace that only God can give. Today you may have real challenges ahead. Perhaps there are pending matters, difficult situations, or decisions that you cannot postpone. But remember this, you do not have to solve everything alone. There is a higher wisdom available to you, a guide that goes beyond human understanding. Breathe deeply. Give your agenda to God, and let His voice be the one that guides you in every step. There are days when external is calm, but inside us there is storm, thoughts that collide with each other, feelings that contradict each other. In those moments, more than a solution, we need direction. We need to remember that not everything we feel is a truth, and that not everything we think must guide our actions. This morning, open space for silence. Let God speak in the midst of your confusion, because many times, clarity does not come with more noise, but with more stillness. Perhaps today you face the same thing as always, the same work, the same people, the same routine. But that does not mean that the day lacks value. Sometimes the sacred is hidden in the repeated. The fidelity of God is not manifested only in the great events, but also in the constant, in what remains. Today, by doing it every day, do it with gratitude. Do it as an offering. Because even a common day can become a spiritual experience if you decide to walk with awareness of the divine presence. Do not underestimate the power of a mind focused on the high from the dawn. What you think when you wake up shapes the attitude with which you will face the whole day. And if you allow the first words that fill your mind to come from God, you will be building a firm foundation. Today, avoid starting with complaints or with what to do. Start with prayer. Start by remembering that your life has a purpose, that you were created with intention, and that nothing, absolutely nothing, escapes the control of the one who takes care of you without rest. If there is something that you cannot change today, give it up. If there is something that you do not understand, trust it. If there is something that hurts, present it. You do not need to have all the answers to have peace. Sometimes peace does not come when everything is resolved, but when you accept that God is working, even when you do not see it. This morning, practice the most liberating act that exists. Surrender to the love of the Father. Stop fighting in your strength and start resting in His. That surrender is not weakness. It is wisdom, and it is the best starting point for your day. It is very easy to fall into the trap of starting the day thinking only of what is missing. The pending bill, the answer that did not arrive, the dream that has not yet been fulfilled. But when you make an effort to focus your heart on what you already have, something changes inside. This morning, before asking, be grateful. Be grateful for the air, for the roof, for one more day of life. Be grateful for what you do not understand, because even there is teaching. Gratitude is the door through which peace enters. And if you start the day with gratitude, you are already one step closer to fullness. The words you pronounce when you wake up have power. They are seeds that you sow inside you. If you speak to yourself with hardness, if you repeat negative sentences, you will be feeding insecurity. But if you choose to speak with faith, to declare life, hope, truth, you will be sowing the future. Today, speak to yourself with love. Tell yourself that you are guided, protected, and sustained by something greater. Not because you feel it, but because you believe it, and what you believe transforms. That your inner voice is not an echo of fear, but channel of blessing. Some days start with clarity, others with fog. Sometimes you know exactly what to do, and other times you have no idea where to start. In both situations, there is a path. Trust. Do not trust only your logic or your experience. There are times when divine wisdom surpasses all understanding. This morning, say a sincere prayer. Lord, guide me. You do not need to have everything under control to move forward. You just need to know that you are not walking alone, and you already have that guaranteed. There are wounds that do not bleed, but that still hurt when you wake up, wounds of the soul that have been dragging on for a long time, and that at times seem to be asleep, but in reality, they are still alive. This morning, do not ignore them. Take them to the presence of God. He is a specialist in healing what no one else can see. There is no trauma that He cannot transform, nor loss that He cannot console. If today you feel that something in you is broken, do not hide it. Put it in the hands of the Creator, because only He who formed you knows the perfect way to restore you. The day is beginning, and many possibilities come with it, but distractions also come. That is why, before letting yourself be carried away by the rhythm of the world, establish your inner rhythm. Decide what thoughts you're going to cultivate, what things you're going to give your energy to. Not everything deserves your attention. Not everything has to occupy your mind. This morning, prioritize eternal over the urgent, what you build over what you wear. Because if you take care of the beginning of your day, you will be building not only a good day, but a firmer, fuller life, and more guided by heaven. Today can be a key day, not because something extraordinary happens, but because you decide to live it with a different consciousness. When you choose to walk with purpose, everything is transformed. The simplest work becomes an offering. The most common conversation can bring consolation. The routine becomes sacred territory. This morning, make that inner commitment. Do not spend the day as a spectator, but live it as someone who knows that every moment counts, that every gesture can reflect light, and that even the smallest thing can glorify God. There are battles that you no longer need to fight, internal struggles that you have carried for years, arguments that you repeat over and over again, waiting for something to change. But today, God tells you, give it to me. Not everything is solved with more effort. Sometimes the true miracle comes when you let go, when you decide to rest instead of resisting. This morning, let go of what steals your peace. Leave room for the new, for what comes from above, because when you stop fighting with your strength, you open the door to the supernatural. Starting the day is also an act of reconciliation with yourself, with others, with God. Perhaps yesterday there were words that hurt, silences that weighed, decisions that left a mark. But today you have a new opportunity. Heaven gives you this day not as an automatic continuation, but as a new beginning. This morning, ask for forgiveness if necessary. Forgive their wounds, and above all, learn to forgive yourself too. Walking in peace begins by releasing what the soul no longer needs to carry. In times of noise and speed, a morning in silence can be a refuge. You don't need to fill this moment with many words. Sometimes it's enough to be present. Take a deep breath and recognize that God is here. His presence does not always come with fire or thunder. Many times, it comes like a whisper, like a calm that settles slowly. Today, allow that calm to find you. Don't rush it. Just sit in it, and let your soul align with the peace that comes from heaven. You have reached this point of the day with something valuable: intention. Not everyone stops to pray, to reflect, to look for direction. And that already makes a difference, because what is done with intention is done with power. This morning, reaffirm your purpose. Don't let the pressure of the environment make you forget your value. You are light in the midst of darkness. You are a living testimony that God still works in everyday life. Today, He lives as someone who knows that his day is covered with purpose, protection, and promises that are still being fulfilled. One of the greatest signs of spiritual maturity is to learn to wait, not with impatience disguised as prayer, but with true calm, with that inner certainty that God does not arrive late, but at the exact moment. This morning, if there is something you are waiting for, don't get frustrated. Don't think that silence is oblivion. Many times, heaven is working in the invisible, preparing paths, refining details. Meanwhile, cultivate your faith with gratitude, because the time of waiting is also the time of formation. Don't let emotional fatigue define your day. Perhaps you have been accumulating disappointments, unfulfilled promises, prayers that have not yet had an answer. But today, at the beginning of this day, remember that every dawn is a new opportunity for restoration. God not only takes care of you on the outside, but also strengthens you on the inside. Today, allow His voice to be stronger than your doubts. Do not ignore your pain, but do not stay to live in it either. Choose to get up, take a deep breath, and walk with renewed hope. The thoughts that are repeated the most in your mind end up marking your reality. That is why it is so important to start the day with a correct narrative. Do not say that today will be the same as the others, that there's no way out, that nothing will change. Declare the opposite, that every day is an opportunity, that there are prepared blessings, that God has control. This morning changes your approach. Although the environment does not change immediately, your way of living can change completely, and that already transforms everything. Sometimes we look for very visible signs that God is with us, but His presence does not always manifest itself with great gestures. Many times it is in the subtle, in that person who smiles at you, in that message that arrives just in time, in the strength that you do not know where it came from, but that He held you. This morning, open your eyes to those details, to what seems small, but that carries the seal of heaven. When you recognize God in the simple, your heart becomes more sensitive, and your day becomes full of meaning. The day is still beginning, and you have already sown something powerful. Communion. You have set aside a moment to connect with the eternal, to nourish your spirit, to focus your soul. That is not a small thing. In a world that runs without looking, you chose to stop and look up. This decision will change the course of your day, because what is done with faith produces fruit. That everything you do today, from the smallest to the most important, is impregnated with this peace that now dwells in you. The soul needs food, just like the body, and many times, what is most lacking is not coffee or physical rest, but words that strengthen the spirit. This morning, you have chosen to nourish your interior with faith, hope, and truth that gives you a spiritual advantage over the challenges of the day. Because whoever begins to be strengthened inside resists better everything that comes from outside. May every thought, every decision, every step you take today be the reflection of a heart that was filled first in the presence of God. You may not have all the answers today. You may not yet know how to solve that which worries you so much. But there is something that you can decide from now on. How are you going to face it? You can choose to do it from anxiety or from faith, from human control or from surrender to heaven. This morning, I invite you to trust, to take a deep breath and say, I don't understand everything, but I believe that God is with me. And with that certainty, take the first step of the day with serenity, with courage, with peace. There is an invisible force that sustains you, even when you do not perceive it. That force does not come from a passive motivation or beautiful phrases, but from a real presence that inhabits you. Today, stop looking for strength in what wears out and return your heart to the eternal. Remember that it is not about doing everything perfectly, but about walking every day with intention, knowing that you are not alone. In that consciousness, even your weaknesses can be spaces where grace acts with greater depth. Starting the day in communion does not change the world outside, but it does change the world inside you. And when your interior is calm, you can go through any storm without losing your direction. Today, do not put your energy in what escapes your control. Instead, invest your time in cultivating what you can take care of, your faith, your words, your thoughts, your reactions, because that is where a solid life is really built. And this morning, you have already taken an important step in that direction. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is just keep going. Get up, trust, try again, even if you do not see immediate results, even if the process seems slow. God is not looking for perfection. He is looking for disposition. And you, being here, praying, seeking, believing, you are already demonstrating that surrender. This morning, reaffirm your commitment to life, to faith, to the purpose that God has put in you. Because even when you feel fragile, He sees you strong for the simple fact of not giving up. Every day brings with it its own challenges, but also brings new mercies. That is a promise that you can embrace this morning. Maybe you do not have control over everything that is going to happen, but you can decide with what spirit you're going to face it. The day begins from grace, not from guilt, from faith, not from fear. Because God's love is not exhausted, nor is it tired of raising you up again. Today is a new page, and you decide with what words you're going to write it. In a world so full of opinions, of judgments, of voices that criticize or compare, it is easy to forget what God says about you. But this morning, take a break and listen to what really matters, that you are loved, supported, and valued. Not for what you do, but for what you are. That is your deepest identity. And if this word has touched your heart, write in the comments, God is my strength every morning. By doing so, you will be declaring your faith and sharing hope with those who also need to remember it. Many start the day looking for approval, external validation, recognition. But when your security is born from the top, you no longer depend on the applause of the world. You are free to live with purpose, without comparing yourself, without surrendering to the pressure of others. Today, walk with your head held high, not out of pride, but out of conviction. The same presence that supported you yesterday will also accompany you today. And that certainty is stronger than any uncertainty. The first minutes of the day have the power to mark your inner rhythm. That is why it is so important not to start from chaos, but from calm. This prayer that you have heard is not just a spiritual content. It is an act of personal care, of emotional nutrition, of divine connection. Today, decide to keep this environment inside you, even if everything else moves fast. The peace you have cultivated now will be your shield for the rest of the day. Maybe no one knows what you are going through. Maybe your smile hides struggles that only you and God know. But that is enough, because you do not need to be understood by everyone to be supported by heaven. This morning, Embrace the comfort that comes from knowing that you are completely seen, heard, and loved by the one who never abandons you. Even if everything around you changes, that truth remains firm, and with that certainty, you can move forward with hope. There are times when everything seems to be on pause. Prayers that have not been answered, paths that do not open, changes that do not come. But the silence of God is not a sign of absence. Many times, it is a stage of preparation. This morning, instead of demanding immediate answers, choose to trust the process. What today seems to be delayed, tomorrow can be revealed as protection. While you wait, you are not alone. You are being shaped by wise and loving hands who know your destiny. Every step you take has value, even if you do not notice immediately. Sometimes growth occurs in the invisible, in those small decisions you make with faith. Today, by choosing to start your day with prayer, you are sowing in the deep. You may not see the fruit now, but later you will look back and understand it was here, in this silent search, where your transformation began. Never underestimate the power of a consecrated morning in heaven. True rest is not only found on a good night of sleep, but in a soul at peace. You can sleep many hours and continue to feel tired if inside you there are unresolved wars. This morning, let the presence of God be your place of inner rest. Give him your worries, your doubts, your repetitive thoughts. Breathe. Listen to this prayer and allow the spiritual rest to settle in you. Because when the heart finds its refuge, everything else is in order. The routine can make us forget the extraordinary. Every dawn is a silent miracle that heaven gives you. A new beginning, a new heartbeat, a new opportunity. Today, don't see this day as one more. Look at it as an invitation to love better, to forgive faster, to serve with more intention. Although the world is full of emergencies, you can walk calmly, knowing that every step you take can become a seed of light. There is something very powerful in starting the day with gratitude, not as an obligation, but as a conscious choice. Gratitude changes the focus, cleanses the eyes, softens the heart. This morning, before asking for anything, I simply said, "Thank you, Lord, for this new day." Because although not everything is perfect, you have life, you have hope, and you have the opportunity to live this day with purpose. And that alone is already enough reason to be grateful. Today can be a day to make important decisions, and perhaps that generates pressure or insecurity. But you don't have to decide alone. The wisdom of heaven is available to those who seek it sincerely. Before acting, pray. Before responding, breathe. Before moving forward, listen. Even the uncertain becomes clear. This morning, give each step to the Lord and trust that he will lead your path faithfully. Sometimes we think that God only manifests himself in great miracles, but he also reveals himself in everyday life, in the bread that is not missing, in the message of encouragement, in the strength that returns when you thought you had no more. Every morning, open your heart to the simple. Look around you with new eyes. Perhaps the answer you are looking for is already there, but you need to be seen with the lens of faith. Today, decide to live with more attention, more gratitude, more presence. There are voices that will try to distract you and impose you. She whispers tenderly and firmly, "I am with you." This morning, tune your spiritual ears. Do not let yourself be dragged by thoughts of defeat. Remember what you have already overcome, the days when you did not know how to continue, and yet you continued. Today, the same strength that held you back will lift you up again. It is not a spiritual need. It is like turning on a lamp before entering a dark room. You do not know what you will find today, but you can make sure to start with light, and that light does not come from your strengths or your plans, but from the top. This morning, by dedicating these minutes to this prayer, you have chosen a wise, profound, lasting, and transformative path. The journey is long, but you do not walk alone. Every hour of this day will be enveloped by an invisible promise, that of the constant care of a God who does not rest. Even when others do not see your effort, even when the recognition does not arrive, heaven sees everything, not for human reward, but for fidelity to what you believe. Because at the end of the day, the most valuable thing will be to have lived in obedience and peace. Life does not always develop as we imagine. Sometimes our plans change, our paths diverge, and what seems safe becomes uncertain. But even in those moments, there is a certainty that if something is not going as you expected, do not despair. Remember that there is a higher will guiding your story. And although today you do not understand why, you can rest in the why. Everything has a purpose, even what now seems confusing. The soul also needs space to breathe. There are days when we accumulate so much worries, demands this morning make a stop. Do not start in a hurry or fill yourself with tasks from the first minute. Give yourself some moments of silence, of prayer, of deep connection. God does not compete with noise. He manifests in stillness, and it is in that sacred pause where we often find the answer we've been looking for so long. Today, before answering anyone, listen first to God. Before making important decisions, consult your heart, because whoever follows divine wisdom avoids many mistakes. You do not need to solve everything with your logic. Faith is also a form of intelligence. This morning, walk with discernment. Be light where there is darkness. Be peace where there is tension. Be hope where there is doubt. Because whoever starts a day with God can be a channel of blessing for others. Worries are not overcome by ignoring them, but by facing them from a new perspective. Maybe today there are things that worry you, but that does not define your day. What defines it is how you choose to live it. This morning, choose to see your challenges as opportunities to grow. Each obstacle can be a stage where God shows his power. And you, with your faith active and your heart open, can be a witness of something that will change your story. Just keep trusting. The day has just begun, but the sky is already working. Even if you do not see it, there is movement in your favor. Even if you do not feel it, there are angels around. Even if you do not hear it, do not be afraid. I am with you. May these words accompany you in every step. May your gaze remain high, not because you ignore reality, but because you know that there is something bigger than it. Today you do not walk alone. Today you are surrounded by promises, grace, and a love that never fails. You are not where you are by chance. Each stage of your life has a purpose, even if you still do not see it clearly. This morning, instead of resisting what you live, accept that there is something that God wants to teach you here and now. Do not run to reach the end. Walk carefully in the present. Sometimes, the greatest miracle is not in destiny, but in the journey. And if you go through it with faith and now it seems uncertain, you will gain meaning later on. Starting the day with prayer is like sowing in fertile soil. You will not always see the immediate fruit, but you can be sure that something is growing in the deep. Your peace, your character, your inner resistance. This morning, do not underestimate this time you have dedicated to God. And everything that is built and invisible will manifest in the right moment. What you are sowing today will bring harvest in the perfect time. Perhaps today you do not have answers, but you do have direction. And sometimes that is all you need. You will not always see the complete path, but you will see the next sign. This morning, do not paralyze yourself because you know that God is with you, that he takes care of you, and that he will not allow you to take meaningless steps. Trust in that gentle guide, in that inner whisper that drives you forward. Walking with faith is advancing without seeing everything, but knowing that you do not walk alone. There are voices that will make you doubt yourself, that will remind you of your mistakes, that will try to put out your spirit. Tomorrow, choose to listen to a different voice, the voice of heaven, the one that calls you by your name and reminds you that you are loved, forgiven, capable, full of purpose. Let this voice be the strongest today, not by volume, but by conviction. Because what God says about you is more true than any other opinion, and that is enough to walk with your head held high. You are reacting to the noise, to the news, to the pressure, but you are doing something different. You are starting from the Spirit. You are choosing to fill yourself first and then act. That is wisdom, that is maturity, and that will bear fruit. This morning continues at this rhythm. Do not let the chaos of the environment drag you down. Keep your peace. Keep your faith firm, because whoever starts from the top remains firm even when everything around them trembles. The value of a consecrated morning to God cannot be measured with human eyes. What happens in the spiritual transforms everything else. Maybe at the end of this prayer, the external circumstances will remain the same, but something inside you has already changed. This is the most important thing. Because when your interior aligns with the peace of God, your gaze changes, your reaction improves, your heart becomes stronger. Today, live from that center, not from chaos, but from the stillness that now dwells in you. Sometimes we think that faith is not being afraid, but in reality, faith is moving forward even when fear is present. Don't blame yourself. We all feel fear. The difference lies in what you do with it. You can let it paralyze you, or you can present to God and keep walking. He does not ask you for perfection. He only asks you for confidence. And every step you take with a surrendered heart is an act of spiritual courage that heaven honors. The light that you carry today can illuminate more than you imagine. Maybe you don't consider yourself someone strong or influential or special, but your presence, your way of treating others, your way of responding to the world, that impacts. This morning, decide to be an instrument of peace. Allow what you receive in this prayer to be translated into concrete gestures, a kind word, a patient attitude, a heart available. Not only will you be blessed, but you will also bless others. It doesn't matter how many times you've failed before. What matters is what you decide to do today. Every morning is a new mercy, a new beginning, a clean page. Do not be trapped in the guilt of the past. God does not call you from your mistake. He calls you from your purpose. This morning, get up with that truth. Reconcile yourself with your story. Walk with the dignity of those who have been restored by love, because what is ahead is greater than what was left behind. Your soul has already been fed. Now it is time to go out into the world and live from that fullness. May nothing or no one steal the calm you have built here. Take it with you. May every conversation, every decision, be guided by what you receive in this prayer. And if at some point in the day you feel tired or confused, remember this moment. Return to this silence. Return to this source. Because the God who spoke to you at dawn will accompany you until dusk. Decisions will arise throughout the day, some small, almost automatic. Others more important that could mark your path. This morning, ask God for the summit, not for Him to show you the whole future, but to give you clarity in the next step. Because sometimes the only thing you need is not to know everything, but to feel guided immediately. And when you let that celestial guide your steps, even uncertain paths end up leading you in the wrong direction. It's not just about what you achieve, but about how you live it. You can achieve many goals and still end up empty. Or you can live with ease, but with peace and feel complete. This morning, put intention in everything you do, from the way you greet to how you respond to a difficulty. Do everything like someone who knows that you are being observed by God. Your day has eternal value, even if it seems routine. Today, before giving explanations to others, listen to what God tells you. His approval is worth more than 1,000 opinions. You do not need to show anything to anyone when you have already been affirmed by the Creator. This morning, live with freedom, the freedom of those who know that their identity is at the top. That spiritual security is your most powerful shield against criticism, comparison, and emotional wear. Sometimes, what we need most is not that everything changes outside, but that something is ordered inside. This prayer has been that space of order, a place where your soul now, with that strengthened interior, goes out into the world, not seeking to control everything, but willing to live with faith. Because when your interior is at peace, even the most complicated becomes manageable, and you have sown that peace at the beginning of the day here, in the presence of God. Perhaps today you do not feel that something supernatural has happened, but the supernatural sometimes is a thought that changed, the wound that began to close, the anxiety that decreased. This morning, thanks even for that you cannot measure, because in the silence, in the deep, God has been working, and although your emotions do not notice it now, your spirit does. Something inside you is renewed, filled. Throughout the day, perhaps there are moments when you feel that the strength decreases, that the spirit goes down, that the mind is filled with doubts. But remember this, what you sowed this morning does not disappear. It remains in you as a root that holds even when the wind blows hard. This prayer has been more than words. It will bear fruit when you need it most. Come back to this moment every time you need it, and remember what you already know. You are not alone. Peace does not always mean the absence of problems. Sometimes it is simply that silent security that although there are challenges, you are in the right place doing the right thing, guided by the one who never fails. Today, when you face obstacles and difficult situations, do not lose that peace that now dwells in you. Take a break, breathe, remember this prayer, because what started with faith can continue with confidence, and what was given to God is already in good hands. Be grateful for this day even before it ends. Be grateful for what you have not seen yet, for what is on the way, for what heaven has prepared for you. Gratitude is not just an answer, it is a seed, and every time you thank in advance, you're activating faith, moving the invisible, opening up space for the extraordinary. This morning, let gratitude accompany you as a shield, as an antidote against complaint, as a bridge between what you have and what you expect. If you have come this far, you have come to the eternal. Not everyone perseveres in the spiritual. Many begin, few continue, but you chose to remain, to seek, to receive, and that perseverance will not go unnoticed. Heaven honors those who surrender sincerely. This prayer does not end here. What was activated within you will continue to beat, will continue to grow, because where there is sincere search, there is always a divine answer. Now that this prayer is about to end, remember, the God who found you in the stillness of this morning will also walk with you in the bustle of the day. You do not need to return to this space to be close to him, because he goes with you in your work, in your home, in your refuge, and your guide. He carries this certainty with you. You were strengthened in the secret to impact the visible. May this day be a reflection of the faith you sowed at the beginning. Thank you for having dedicated this time to seek God, for opening your heart and starting your day on purpose. May each word sown in this prayer continue to bear fruit within you throughout the day. Remember, no matter what you face today, you will not do it alone. The Creator of heaven and earth accompanies you, guards you, and watches over you at every step. I invite you to return to this prayer whenever you need it. And if it was a blessing for you, share this moment with someone else, because a word of faith can transform an entire day. May you have a day full of light, full of peace. We will meet again very soon. God bless you.